Come on through, Cookie. I want to put my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Bringing Up Ballers Season 1, Episode 3. When we start right off, Nikki and Johanna are actually having a conversation. Nikki is planning on setting up a press conference for her son. He's an 8th grader and he's going to go to high school. So Johanna actually, from the door, was shooting the idea down. And she feels like it's a little too over the top because of the fact that he's only going to the 9th grade. Now, me personally, I had no problem with it. I thought it was cute. I thought it was something cute and good practice because this is actually the life that he's going to go into. So I had no problem with it. I think personally that Johanna had an issue with it because she didn't think of it first. And she has a bit of haterade that rests right here on her top lip. That's what I get from Johanna, okay? I think at the end of the day, after I've been watching, she's a little jealous of Nikki. It is what it is. She's never going to ever admit it. But she's a little jealous of her. She's always leaning back onto what the difference in their raising is. And she always tries to put on this facade like Nikki is so ghetto. That ain't nothing but jealousy. But anyway, as the program went on, the press conference actually took place. And it was cute. Like I said, Namari, he basically always said, he thanked his parents and he thanked his teachers and that kind of thing. And he announced what high school he was going to go to. And then his mother took over from there and said whatever she had to say. And they actually did have, like, a lot of people showed up, a lot of the coaches and different things. And there were people there who actually did cover it. It was really cute. It was done very well. And she had it out on social media. It was cute. And like I said, it was good practice for him. Well, all throughout, there was so much to be said about it from Johanna. And then even at one point, she literally has sat and talked to it about her, with her son. And I'm like, so you're literally pulling your son into that hateful ass way of thinking as well. I didn't like that at all. I was like, you pulled your son into that bullshit just like he was one of your girlfriends. Wrong answer. Didn't like it. It just wasn't a good look. The next time they actually got together, they were at basketball practice, and Johanna went in and started trying to basically clown Nikki about it. And Nikki just kind of, I think she just, it's to that boiling point, how friendship will get to that boiling point. And you're like, you know what, bitch? I'm not going to even do this with you. And she didn't. She literally got up and she kind of walked out, and they literally end up not speaking. And yes, it can turn, something small can really turn into you screwing up a whole friendship when there's a ton of that little shit. And just in the little time we've been watching, I see it. I see a lot of little digs that are being taken, and this was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back a little bit. Anyway, so let's talk about Peyton and Ken. They still do their little flirting thing back and forth. Peyton actually talked to Ken about a acceptance that they got. It's an offer for school in Texas, and she has not told George about it. And he basically told her, he took no games, but told her, you got 48 hours to talk to him about that, or I'm going to talk to him about it, because that's just not right. That's not right. You need to go ahead and do that. Tiffany. Let's speak about Tiffany. Tiffany and her son, Michael. I got very, very upset with Tiffany with this because there was a situation with a coach. She's a private coach. Her name is Miss Foster. Miss Foster, almost a year ago, had made some remarks. She was working with Michael. And then when they were on the court, Miss Foster was doing that little thing and running her mouth and saying some things that weren't too nice about Michael, and Michael overheard it. So she talked shit. And now Michael basically does not want to work with her anymore. He didn't like how it came across. He doesn't feel comfortable with her. He don't want to work with her no more. He has told his mother that. Well, his mother, they end up going to practice anyway this one day, and he basically is like, you know, I just ain't feeling it. And all the adults there basically was getting down on him and, you know, said, how can he just tell you what he don't want to do and this, that, thing, and the other? And they went into the whole parenting thing. Nobody ever stopped to tell Miss Foster, bitch, you fucked it up. Bitch, you were talking shit, and he overheard the shit that you were saying, and you said some trash, you was talking trash shit, and he don't want to work with you no more. He lost respect for you in the midst of your bullshit. Nobody ever stopped to say this. This is when I get pissed off, because this is how kids run into that thing where people say, they're being too grown. He wasn't being too grown. He was up front. He told his mother what it was. The problem was his mother kept that information, and then when you presented it in front of Nikki and her husband, they were basically saying like that Michael is this bad kid who is now all of a sudden smelling himself and ain't listening to his mother, and that ain't it at all. That ain't it at all. Then she went even further and had a sit down with Peyton and Ken and brings that same energy. And he's just like, listening to me, this, that, and the other. Like, because, you know, she's a single parent. She's crying that cry, okay? And Ken's like, well, I'll work with him. You bring him on over and I'll be able to tell you exactly what's going on. He said, but let me ask you some questions. He asked her some questions. Does he really want to play basketball? Is that part of the problem? You know, and she's like, I don't know, maybe I do push him sometimes, this, that, and the other, but still not telling the whole story. Sure enough, just like Ken said, within 10 minutes of meeting Michael, they got to go. Him and Michael clicked like that. Michael was doing everything that Ken asked him to do, very respectful. He was very respectful to Miss Foster with her shit talking self. Okay? And Ken was like, stop pushing. He'll be fine. It's just like a child that don't want to sing and you want to make him sing. It's the same thing. If you try to force it on him, he'll turn away from it altogether. Leave it to him. Don't do that. And I was so glad that Ken took that approach. Ken is really good with the kids. He really, really is. And at that time, he actually ended up asking George, because George was there too. Did your mother say anything to you about the thing with Texas? Well, baby, she got upset because she hadn't said nothing and told him he needed to mind his damn business and this, that, and the other, because she was busted. Well, baby, in the middle of, after that was over, when he got her ass home, when I tell you George tore Peyton's ass down, he wasn't disrespectful to his mother, but he got her all the way the fuck together. All the way together. You hear me? I said, okay, this is what you get, honey. This is what you get. And she deserved it. And she got all mad at Ken. He was like, I wouldn't give a damn if you did get mad. I told you what you needed to do. You're playing games and you need to stop. So I was good with him. With that, I was like, okay, that's making sense. That's really making some sense. Let's see, what else? Let's talk about Nikki and Heather. Heather is actually doing this. It's a fashion stylist makeover event to launch her app. She has an app to send out stylists. And Nikki went out of her way to get Heather to invite Peyton. And she basically told her, she's like, I'm not for the bullshit, but for you, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invite her. And then they both sat there, Snicker and Kiki, at her wig, honey, and said she needs her wig. She needs a new wig, so she need to be there anyway. So I kind of laughed at that. I was like, so I thought it was just me reading that wig. That wig is a goddamn mess. Okay, the last thing that actually took place in this episode was whenever Heather did actually have her event, Joanna and Nikki actually ended up butting heads. They come in the door, they're not speaking to each other. And that was fine, but then they were throwing shade back and forth at each other, just like little schoolgirls. And they were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Heather told them one time, we're not doing this. We're not going to embarrass me and do this during my function. We're not going to do this. And that was that. That was it. That was the only warning you get. They ended up, some of the girls were over here and this one's talking. You know how it works. Those ones are over here and those ones talking. And then they ended up, bang, they clashed again. And they're going back and forth. And all while they're talking, it's just, Johanna don't see what she did wrong. She's not accepting at all that Nikki's like, girl, I'm over you. I don't care. It is what it is. Say what you want. I don't care. And and Johanna was like the one getting real, real loud. You're the one that comes from the supposed money, and you're the one that's always calling her ghetto. But meanwhile, you're the one that's real, real loud. You're real loud and real, about it. And the next thing I know, Heather came back there and told them, you all have lost your minds. She got their asses together and told them, y'all either going to stop this or y'all get on up out of here. Get on up out of here. You will not do my brand like this. And that was it. She shut that shit right on down and got their asses together. And that's basically where the episode cut. That damn Heather, I told you I like that Heather. That Heather don't play no games at all.